This poem, Erstwhile Harbinger Auspices, I just moved to San Francisco and I was at a kind of my first writer party. And so I was a little nervous. And I used the word erstwhile and I was corrected. And I sort of insisted laughingly that I was right. So because everyone has iPhones now, it was easy to check. And unfortunately, I was not correct. And so that was slightly embarrassing. But then I went back home and I thought, oh, well, what other words? Maybe there's some other words that I think I know what they mean, but I don't really. And I found a few. And so they composed the title of the poem. Erstwhile Harbinger Auspices. Erstwhile means long time gone. A harbinger is sent before to help, and also a sign of things to come. Like this blue stapler I bought at Staples. Did you know in ancient Rome, priests called augurs studied the future by carefully watching whether birds were flying together or alone, making what honking or beeping noises in what directions? It was called the auspices. The air was thus a huge announcement. Today, it's completely transparent, a vase. Inside it, flowers flower. Thus, a little death scent. I have no master, but always wonder, what is making my master sad? Maybe I do not know him. This morning, I made extra coffee for the beloved and covered the cup with a saucer. Skeleton, I thought, and stay very still. Whatever it was will soon pass by and be gone.
This audio poem is a production of poetryfoundation.org.
This is a poem called Wanting Sumptuous Heavens. It's in a form called the Ramage, which has 8 lines and depends on interior rhyming. No one grumbles among the oyster clans, and lobsters play their bone guitars all summer. Only we, with our opposable thumbs, want heaven to be and God to come again. There is no end to our grumbling. We want comfortable earth and a sumptuous heaven. But the heron, standing on one leg in the bog, drinks his rum all day and is content.
Tarp. I have seen the black sheets laid out like carpets under the trees, catching the rain of olives as they fell. Also the cerulean brightness of the one covering the bad roof of a neighbor's shed. The color, the only color, inside the winter's weeks. Another one took the shape of the pile of bricks underneath. Another flew off the back of a truck, black as a piano, if a piano could rise into the air. I have seen the ones under bridges, the forms they make of sleep. I could go on this way until the end of the page, even though what I have in my mind isn't the thing itself, but the category of belief that sees the thing as a shelter for what is beneath it. There is no shelter. You cannot put a tarp over a wave. You cannot put a tarp over a war. You cannot put a tarp over the broken oil well miles under the ocean. There is no tarp for that raging figure in the mind that sits in a corner and shreds receipts and newspapers. There is no tarp for dread, whose only recourse is language so approximate it hardly means what it means. He is not here. She is sick. She cannot remember her name. He is old. He is ashamed.
This audio poem is a production of poetryfoundation.org.
Guess. The jacaranda, for instance, is beautiful, but not serious. That much I can guess. And that the view is softened by curtains. That the present moment is an exception. Is the queen bee a hive serves, or else an orphan? So the jacaranda is foreign and extravagant. It gestures in the distance. Between there and here, you ask, what game we should play next week. So we'll be alive next week, continuing what you may or may not mean to be an impossible flirtation.
The good news. A friend calls, so I ask him to stop by. We sip old scotch, the good stuff, order in, some Indian, no frills too fine for him or me, particularly since it's been ages since we made the time. 2 drinks in, we've caught up on our plans. I've sleepwalked through the last few years by rote. He's had a nasty rough patch, quote, unquote, on the home front, so we commiserate, cupping our low balls in our hands. It's great to see him. It's good to have a friend who feels the same as you about his lot, that while some grass is greener, your small plot is crudely arable, and though you're not so young, it's still not quite the end. As if remembering then, he spills his news. Though I was pretty lit, I swear it's true, it was as if a gold glow filled the room and shone on him, a sun shaft piercing through dense clouds, behind which swept long views. In that rich light he looked not like my friend, but some acquaintance brushed by on the train. Had his good fortune kept me from the same, I had to wonder, a zero-sum game that gave the night its early end. Nothing strange. Our drinks were done, that's all. We haven't spoken since. By morning, I couldn't remember half of what the guy had said. Just his good news, my slurred goodbye, the click of the latch, the quiet hall.
I've always been a light sleeper, so even when I was a child. And so I think sleep is wonderful as much as I can get of it, which is usually not more than 5 hours. And sometimes in my old age, I take a little nap or try to nap in the afternoon. But anyway, I have a lot of sleep and dream poems. And another 2-line poem has the word knot in it, as you have knots in wood. Sleep gives wood its grain, dreams not the wood.